Welcome to the weekend, everyone. This is the Lazy Bums Podcast, episode 29, and we're the Lazy Bums. I'm Caleb Kalenda.
And I'm Abina Chalice.
We're going to get into some headlines.
Starting off, the biggest news made probably all weekend across all sports. We saw NBA players really take the charge, and initially it was the the Bucks and the Magic were the first ones to officially call. I guess they chose to sit out, but now they have completely gone to boycotting the next few games in the NBA season, and we've seen it translate over to many other sports now.
Yeah, right. Baseball has sat out some games. We saw that today. And yesterday and today, no basketball was played. Obviously, the MLB is still in the regular season, and the NBA is currently enveloped in the playoffs. So it kind of meant a little more to see these guys sit out of vital playoff games.
Right, this is the most important time for these basketball players. They're trying to win championships, really cement their legacy as players, and to take time off like this to address social issues is very, very important and very impactful in my opinion, and I think they are doing a really good job.
So 6 teams actually opted not to play on Wednesday. It was the Bucks and the Magic, uh, the Rockets and the Thunder, and the Blazers and the Lakers.
Yes,
Or what was the last team?
and we also saw Doc Rivers come out and give a really, really powerful speech that, got spread all around social media. And basically, I have the quote here. He was saying, we're the ones getting denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung. We've been shot. All you do is keep hearing about fear. Just really reiterating what a lot of NBA players and a lot of people have been saying for the last few months. And it's just continued. These issues that Black people have been having with systemic racism just continue to show, even though people are being vocal about it now. And we still have so much to go, obviously, and that's what this really shows, I think.
Yeah, it's a huge deal for the NBA. Obviously, everyone in the organization is taking it seriously. Um, not only do we see these players sit out, but a lot of them have been vocal about completely boycotting the playoffs. We even saw, most of the NBA Tonight crew on TNT. Kenny Smith was emotional and walked off set. So yeah, it is a huge deal. And following the uh, players sitting out on Wednesday night, the sentiment that the 3 games scheduled for Thursday wouldn't be played kind of grew with the teams that were scheduled to play on Thursday. And there was a meeting after that to vote to whether or not to continue the playoffs. And I think it was more of an impromptu thing, just kind of gauging where everyone was at. And the Lakers and the Clippers actually ended up voting in favor of canceling the season.
Yeah, so it turned out that the Lakers and the Clippers were mainly the only ones who voted to opt out of or to boycott the NBA season, and a lot of the other teams wanted to continue. And rumor has it that this really angered LeBron James, and he walked out of the meeting. LeBron has really been demanding more action from owners and other players as well, but also from Adam Silver. And that's kind of something that I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think is Adam Silver's role in all this? I mean, we have seen him put some things in place in the bubble, like putting things on the back of jerseys and writing Black Lives Matter on the courts or whatever. But what do you think Adam Silver really needs to do to get the message out that he does care about his players? Because this is a majority Black league.
Well, I think it's obvious that Adam Silver supports the players, the coaches, and I think that he, as commissioner, he has to support everyone, which includes the owners, and the owners are kind of the problem. I don't want to say that it's like a problem, but it's a problem. A lot of these owners are really invested in just making money, and there's no better money making opportunity than the playoffs. Um, And so, I mean, I think that there's a little bit of a divide between players and owners. It's said that Michael Jordan was the voice of reason, or the, the kind of players representative in the owners. And, I think that there will be some sort of decision and some sort of resolution that everyone can agree on and come to. But, it's a heated subject, and so it's going to take some heated debate.
Definitely. I think that it does ultimately, like, the owners really do need to step up. I think that's one of the most important things, is that we need to see owners back their players and say, we support these guys and we'll do everything we can to address their concerns, because at the end of the day, these men are literally fighting for their lives. It's something that is way bigger than sports, and a lot of people don't understand it, and that's okay. But I think owners really need to try to empathize with their players and stand in solidarity with them.
Yeah, well, the Bucks organization, they released a statement that said, "We fully support our players in the decision they made," and the owner, along with a lot of his cohorts, signed it. And they said, "Although we did not know beforehand, we would have wholeheartedly agreed with them. The only way to bring about change is to shine a light on the racial injustices that are happening in front of us. Our players have done that, and we will continue to stand alongside them and demand accountability and change," which is a really great sentiment. It kind of makes me think that the narrative that players are working against their organization is going to eventually become more just a narrative. And I think that with this kind of like the players putting these things into light, I think it's going to change a lot of people's viewpoints, and it's going to demand just some accountability from the organizations and the owners.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the news cycle, this was basically all that was talked about for the last couple days, is the numerous amounts of boycotts that have happened in men and women's sports, all different kinds of sports, not just basketball. And I think that it's really gaining some momentum, and I hope to see this momentum continue, because that, again, is one of the reoccurring things that we see, is that a lot of people get really behind something and then it kind of fizzles out in a couple weeks.
Supposedly there is going to be another meeting scheduled, and there's going to be more dialogue that goes on with this. And I think that this isn't the last time we're going to see some form of protest from the players. And it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal to the players. It's a huge deal to the fans. And I think it's really helping and really promoting this cause.
Yeah, so we're going to keep our ears to the ground and just try to keep up with this as much as possible, because I do agree with you. This isn't going to be the last time we're hearing about this. And, just continue to support our NBA players, because they've done a fantastic job.
Some other kind of groundbreaking, earth-shattering news that kind of went by the wayside is that someone who is the greatest athlete in his sport, arguably, Lionel Messi, who's played for FC Barcelona for his entire career. He's won many, many championships for them.
Yeah, he's basically become synonymous with that club.
Right. But after a long career, he's finally decided that he wants to leave the club, and he is apparently keen on a move to Manchester City.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine the Prem with Lionel Messi in there. I mean, especially playing for Man City. It's going to be like seeing Tom Brady in that Buccaneers jersey for the first time, I think. It's just going to be weird, No one's going to really be a big fan of it, except for Man City fans, if he does end up going there. But, just exciting to see. I kind of like when these generational players shake the waters of their leagues, of their respective leagues, every so often. It just really brings more excitement to whatever sport it is. And in this case, Messi going to the Prem is going to bring a lot more excitement to the English Premier League, as if it doesn't already have it. But, Messi is the king.
Obviously, it's going to be pretty weird to see him in any uniform besides a Barcelona uniform, but it'll be nice to see him in the Prem. And something that I'm really excited about is that he's going to be partnering up with Pep Guardiola again. Uh, Obviously, Pep Guardiola coached Barcelona for 4 years and brought them Champions League victory. Um, and I mean, Messi was in the prime of his career when he was playing with Pep Guardiola. And so maybe we can see a little bit of that fire reignited going to play with him again in the Premier League.
Yeah, definitely that relationship and, the notable club that Manchester City is probably helped him make that decision. And I really wonder, like, I just want to see it, I can't imagine seeing Messi in anything other than an Argentina jersey. And it's just, I
Yeah.
can't even imagine it.
Well, nothing's set in stone yet. Obviously, there hasn't been a transfer offer, and he's still under clause. I think he can't demand his release officially from Barcelona, and Barcelona's manager has stated that he's optimistic that he can repair this relationship, and Messi will continue to play for Barcelona. And obviously, I mean, when Ronaldo did this a few years ago, he was tied to a few Premier League clubs. He was tied to Liverpool. He was tied to Man City. Um,
And he
and
ended
that
up
didn't end up
not.
happening. He ended up going to the Serie A. He went to Juventus. And, we could see something similar with Messi, although we have learned that his father, who's also his agent, has gone to Europe, gone to the UK to seemingly finalize the deal. And so we could see Messi making a move to Manchester City.
Yeah, he's gonna be in a new pond, so to say, but he's definitely gonna tear up the competition in the Premier League.
Absolutely. I think him with a squad like Man City, obviously they have a lot of young players. He'd be playing with Sergio Aguero, who he's played with for Argentina for many years now, and there's a lot of chemistry there. I think it would be an amazing move for Man City. It'd be an amazing move for the Prem. They would get so much more engagement. I think it would really shake it up, and it would be so amazing just to see Messi in the Premier League.
Yeah, I know he's gonna be playing like at Old Trafford and against Chelsea, and it's just gonna be really awesome to see these historic English clubs face off against Messi. Like that's awesome.
Um, so some experts are speculating that this move could see Messi moving to Etihad to play there for 3 seasons before making a move to their affiliate club in the MLS, which is New York City FC. So what do you think about that? Messi possibly, I mean, towards the end of his career, obviously, but possibly making a move to the MLS.
I think that would be huge for U.S. soccer as a whole. We've seen, especially with the men's national team, I think it's really evident that there is a lot of excitement about soccer, but there's not, it's not necessarily it's not panning out on the national stage, so to say. But I think
Well,
a guy like Messi is really going to get the ball rolling in terms of soccer. More people are going to tune in, more people are going to sign their kids up for academy, stuff like that. And I think that we'll just see the sport grow in America as we've wanted it to for a long time.
well, I mean, the most exciting thing we've seen in American soccer as a whole, I mean, Ibrahimovic moving to the MLS is up there, but he was very old. And I mean, we went to the World Cup and then we didn't. And it's just, the U.S. national team is really, I just think we haven't seen any true, real talent in American soccer since Pele played for the New York Cosmos.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
like, I think that, you could really draw some parallels to that, especially since they'd both be playing in New York. Messi coming to the MLS, I mean, that would be huge. The MLS would be suddenly the thing to watch. I mean, if the best soccer player of all time, arguably, moves to American sports, like that's huge.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. We've seen these legends kind of towards the back tails of their careers move to the MLS, like Ibrahimovic, like Gerrard, like Bex. So
Yeah.
Messi might be just another one of those guys who pushes the envelope forward for soccer in America.
Well, I mean, I hope we see that deal finalized. I hope he does end up coming to the MLS.
I hope
And
we get to go see him play, man. That would be
oh my
awesome, huh?
God, that would be amazing. To see him live, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Although he'd be like what, late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, he'd be pretty old, but I have no doubts that he'd still be a magician on the field. I mean, it's Leo Messi that we're talking about.
Especially in the MLS. I mean, he'd tear it up.
Yeah, he's playing against
That would
bums.
be no challenge. No challenge for Leo Messi.
We're just going to take a short break now and talk about our sponsor.
Okay, so now let's get into the meat here. The games that were played over the week in the NBA playoffs. We had some pretty exciting games. I mean, really like some shakeups in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of series start to tighten up, either that or end.
Right.
In terms of the Boston Celtics, who just, are cruising right now. They're about to play Toronto in the next round, which is going to be really interesting.
The Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, and the Miami Heat managed to all pull off sweeps in their respective series against the Sixers for the Celtics, Nets for the Raptors, and the Pacers for the Heat. And I really didn't think that series was going to be a sweep.
I didn't think so either, man. I thought that the Pacers would show a little bit more fight, and I really thought that TJ Warren would, not fall off the face of the earth, but good God, from the regular season to the playoffs, he was like a different dude. They replaced TJ Warren.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we all really called the other series being a sweeps. The Raptors were obviously going to sweep the Nets, and the Celtics, I mean, not so obviously, but obvious to us, we're going to sweep the Sixers. But yeah, wanted to see more from TJ Warren. Really wanted to see more.
Yeah, the Pacers in general just really did not play well, but the Heat, on the flip side, did play really well, and I think that their next round matchup against the Bucks is going to be really good. I think that a lot of people are not giving the Heat much of a chance, but I think that they're a really gritty team, and they have a guy in Jimmy Butler who, if I was literally any owner in the NBA, I would not want my team to play Jimmy Butler in the playoffs because I feel like that is terrifying. I mean, he's so gritty and his playoff defense is incredible and he just wants it. You know what I mean? I've never seen a player just work so hard on the court when he's on. And I wouldn't hate to run into them right now.
I think it was really a bad move for the Sixers to let him go. I think if he really stayed with Philadelphia, I think the process could have really worked out there. But, I think a lot of things have come out over this last week about that situation of him in Philadelphia. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't know much about it, and it seems to be hotly debated. But he seems to be really clicking in Miami. He's really playing his best basketball. I've never seen him play like this. He's really showing out.
Yeah, and what was evident was for the Sixers at least was that they really needed another wing presence. Josh Richardson has not really been the dude, and neither has Tobias Harris. And what they could have used was a guy like Jimmy Butler, but of course he's not there anymore, and the Heat are reaping all the fruits of that.
Yeah, definitely. The Heat really, I think, the key thing for them is consistency. Every game they came out and played with the exact same intensity, and they really just executed their game plan to absolute perfection. And I think that last year that was the Raptors' MO. The Raptors were really about their game plan, and they executed it to a championship level. And I think that's what really was the driving force for them to upset the Bucks last year. And I think we might even see the same thing with the Heat this year.
Yeah, well, when you have two leaders for the Raptors, it was Kawhi Leonard, and for the Heat now, it's Jimmy Butler, two guys who really set the tones for their team. They're really very serious, very locked in at all times, and it really helps get the rest of the team going and also locked in. And I think that we're seeing the same kind of effect happen with the Raptors and Kawhi Leonard and the Heat and Jimmy Butler. They're really making their teammates play better, and they're getting hot as the playoffs are rolling.
So on the Western Conference side, we saw a few teams really fight their way back into their series. We saw the Utah Jazz really make a push to come back, as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks, pushing their series to just a game away.
Yeah, let's get started with the Jazz and the Nuggets first of all. The series currently sits at 3-2. The Jazz are winning, but the Nuggets have been clawing back. Recently, they won the last game, and Jamal Murray has been a real big impact player for the Nuggets. And on the other side, Donovan Mitchell has been a really big impact player for the Jazz. He dropped 51 in Game 4, which is pretty incredible.
Right, after dropping 57 in Game 2 or Game 3, I don't remember which one. But yeah, Game 5, I don't know if you watched Game 5, but the Jazz were up for the majority of that game. You know, it really looked like they were going to close out the series, which would have been huge. I mean, that would have been a massive upset, especially just to win 4 straight in a row. But the Nuggets came back and they made the series 3-2, and it's a contest. I think this is definitely the most competitive series that's still going on right now, and it's really getting interesting.
Yeah, I think this one is kind of like just this series took me by surprise. I really thought that like, can you think of how many years people have been talking about the Nuggets and they've been like, oh, they're a really good young team, give them next year. Or like, wait till next year, wait till next year. And it's like, we've been waiting so long. I really thought like Jokic and Murray, like they don't have a bad lineup. They just don't have a ton of depth. But I thought
Yeah.
that they would be able to make it out of the first round against Utah. But Utah's been playing really good on defense. And Mitchell on offense has basically been unguardable. So I mean, tough look for the Nuggets. I don't know. Like, what do you do at this point? I mean, Jokic and Murray are beginning to enter their primes, and it's if they can't get out of the first round, like, I don't know if those are two guys you want. Like, maybe Jokic, but maybe you get rid of Murray. I mean, I don't know what you do if you're the Nuggets right now.
Well, they do have a lot of really young talent, and if they could see their talent develop, obviously you have Murray and Jokic, and you also have Michael Porter Jr., who's obviously incredibly young, and if they can really develop that talent, keep that talent, and develop that talent. Maybe get rid of Murray and get some more pieces and maybe some picks. But I really think the Nuggets they really do have a talented team, and they're still very, very young. And, it is the bubble playoffs, so that, could put an asterisk on on the series a little bit. But I think they have a really uh, good future.
Yeah, it's not to say that these guys can't do it. Murray and Jokic are two really great players, and Murray especially has had himself a really good series. He's averaging 30 points a game, and he's shooting a scorching 52% from three right now. Like, good lord, he is on fire, and like he's made really big shots for the Nuggets late in games, especially this last game. And Jokic has also been getting super big rebounds, and he's been pretty good too. But the thing is, they can't seem to mask Michael Porter Jr. on defense very well. I don't know if it's because of his injury or if he just is not a good defensive player, but he doesn't shift his feet very well. And so, they put him on there to give him that extra offense. He is the third leading scorer on the team in the series, but with him being on offense, he on the other side of the ball, he can't play any defense. So the Jazz have really been exploiting that matchup, and I think they're going to keep doing that. And I picked the Nuggets to win the series initially, but I think the Jazz are going to pull it out.
Yeah, me too, man. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop Donovan Mitchell in his quest to really put a show in and possibly take his team to the next round of the playoffs. But on the other side of things, a series that had its Game 5 canceled, obviously, because the players sat out. The Houston Rockets and the Oklahoma City Thunder are currently tied at 2-2 after the Rockets took a 2-0 lead, and the Thunder clawed their way back to make it 2-2.
Yeah, just really, really inspiring performances from Chris Paul over the last couple of days. And if you notice, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, they've had four guys really help contribute to their scoring. And just looking at the Nuggets, like the Jokic and Murray are substantially ahead of all of their other teammates in terms of scoring. It's their output is really coming from those two guys. But if we look at the Thunder, they're much more well-rounded scoring team. They have different guys contributing, like guys like Dennis Schroeder and Danilo Gallinari are giving them big minutes, and we've seen it in the last two games. They've just everything's really clicked for them, and they're starting to pick up some wins and make this a series.
They're a very talented defensive team too. Chris Paul has been really showing out on defense, and their rookie out of Arizona State, Luguentz Dort, he has really been a showstopper so far. And I mean, he played well when Houston was winning, but now that the Thunder are putting games together, like their young guys are really starting to show out.
Not just the showstopper, but a hardened stopper. I saw the stat that I think against Dort, he's shot his lowest true shooting percentage out of anyone in the last like 6 years or something like that. Something ridiculous. He's shooting like 39% against Dort. So,
That's crazy to see from a rookie.
Yeah, right? Like, you think of all of the great players in playoff series, especially that have guarded James Harden. You got guys like Klay Thompson, these really good guards out of the West, but Dort is really the one who's locked him up and had the most success guarding Harden in the playoffs.
Yeah, crazy stuff from Dort. And it should be a really fun series to watch for the upcoming 3 games. Especially since we saw some trash talk coming from Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Something that, I mean, I didn't expect to see him stoke the flames of that situation, but he certainly did. Thunder fans are pretty upset at what he was saying to Steven Adams. Steven Adams, I think, is like one of the nicest guys in the league.
How could you ever do anything bad to Steven?
What's the point? Like, what's the point of talking smack to Steven Adams? Like, I don't understand it. And they had such a good relationship when, Russ was with the Thunder, and that was so weird to see. I truly did not expect that.
Yeah, Russ is kind of an interesting guy. Pretty fiery when he wants to be.
Yeah, pretty fiery when he's sitting on the bench, but, once he's out there on the court, it's inconsistency from him.
It's bricks and turnovers, baby. Can't wait to have you back, Russ.
Yeah. The final series, or I guess not the final series, but one of the series I would say is pretty much wrapped up, but the Mavericks have really shown that they are here to play against the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers took a 2-1 lead, and the Mavericks made it 2-2, and in Game 5, the Clippers showed that they want to win and that they want to advance and that their stars are here to play, and they won a convincing game against the Mavericks in Game 5. But what we've seen from this game is a lot of really poor and surprising but kind of not surprising play from stars like Paul George, notably.
Yeah, so Paul George, in the games before last, he really struggled. He put up in Game 2, he put up 14. In Game 3, he put up 11. And in Game 4, he put up just 9 points. So quite the struggle from Paul George. So he was, in those 3 games, he was shooting 16% from 3 and 21% from the field. So just could not really throw a penny into the ocean. He was really struggling, and he said after the game or after last game that he had really gotten in his head and the bubble was getting to him or whatever. But we see slumps like this, and it seems like he's gotten out of it. So I'm not putting too much on it.
Yeah, and even though he's had some bad games, and he's kind of been historically easy to shake in the playoffs over his career, but even though he's had some bad games, I would say that he's not the main reason that the Clippers have given up 2 games. The main reason for that is on the other side of the series, and it's a man named Luka Doncic. He's gone absolutely insane in his playoff debut, by the way. He's honestly, this is one of the best performances I've seen in the playoffs in my entire life. Since I started watching basketball till now, I've never seen a player do things like what Luka's doing in the playoffs.
And it's just his first ever playoff series. I mean, it's insane. I mean, the dude looks like a veteran floor general out there. He gets everyone in the right places. He's averaging almost 9 assists a game, super high assist percentage. It puts him in the top 20 playoff assist percentage of all time, up there with guys like Chris Paul, John Stockton, these floor generals, these legends, and he's doing it in his first ever playoff series. He hit the game winner.
Again, he's also doing it against two of the highest touted defensive players in the league in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
And two really experienced playoff guys as well. And he's giving them buckets. That game winner was incredible. Incredible. But the way that he had been playing that night, as soon as it went up, you knew it was going in. He hadn't missed all night. I mean, it's one of the hottest streaks I've seen a player on, and he's just so exciting to watch. I don't want to see the Mavericks get eliminated just because I want to keep seeing Luka.
Do you think that the Mavericks really have a chance, though?
No, they're going to lose. But it's really impressive to me that they were able to get 2 games against the Clippers. I mean, I'm pretty sure we both thought that the Clippers were gonna easily handle Dallas and kind of get to the finals without kind of unscathed. Honestly, maybe the Lakers will give them a challenge in the conference finals, but this series wasn't much of a challenge, or so we thought. But Luka has really clawed and fought to 2 wins and put the Mavericks team in a better position than they would have been in.
Yeah, I think it's less so impressive on the Mavericks as a whole, and I think more so impressive on Luka. He has put in the performances necessary to get them those 2 games. And, I think that he is the heart and soul. He is the blood running through the veins of that team. He put his team on his back and won them 2 games against championship caliber team.
A lot of people I've seen recently draw the comparison to Westbrook leading that bummy Oklahoma City team to the playoffs, but the reason that that's different is because Luka is I cannot state this enough. The guy makes extremely veteran plays. His basketball IQ for a 20-year-old guard is incredible. It seems like he has 10 years of NBA experience the way that he plays. He just knows where every one of his teammates are at any given point, and he can pass to shooters. He hits cutters, and he can play make for himself, create his own shot. It's just he gets everyone else going along with his offense. Whereas with Russ, we would see, everyone get out of my way and let me shoot 40 shots and maybe half of them go in.
Right. Even though Luka's team might be underwhelming on paper, he's perfectly willing to set up an open shooter, even if he is not the open shooter. He knows that basketball is a team game, whereas it seems like when Russ gets in his zone or gets in his head, that thought kind of just escapes him, and he really wants to put his team on his shoulders. But I don't see a comparison to that in any way. I think that Luka has really brought the best out of his team. Guys like Boban. Boban Marjanovic has been in the league for a long time. He's been a talking point, but never for really being a guy who's going to win a team a championship. But now he's playing out of his skin, and he has an amazing relationship with Luka. And I think that really shows how much potential Luka has to bring a championship to whatever team he's on.
Yeah, and to a casual NBA fan, if you talk about Luka being as good, in my opinion, better than Russell Westbrook, they will go crazy and irate and throw their shoes at you and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, you're not watching basketball. Luka Doncic is clearly playing better than Russell Westbrook has in the last 4 seasons in the playoffs. Numbers are impressive and they can tell you some stuff about a player, but just if you like, you can just tell the difference in their play style. I mean, like just the way that Russell plays with just aggression and throwing the ball up and just doing whatever he wants, as compared to someone who plays as silky and as smooth and just as fluid as Luka does. It's so much better to watch, and it's his game is just so much better, so much more versatile.
That being said, I think in Game 5, the Clippers really showed what they are capable of at the top of their game. They put up, like I said, 154 points on the Mavericks, which is, I mean, 154 points is ridiculous. Like 125 is a good game. 154 is ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
it's just the to be honest, like the Clippers are a much better team than the Mavericks, and that's probably what should be happening if Luka wasn't willing his team to win. Um, if Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both play good games on any given night, I think that the Clippers win these games, and I think because of that, the Clippers are going to win this series. But nonetheless, Luka Doncic has been a really big highlight of the playoffs for me, and he's going to be a player that I, really want to see succeed. I just love him. I love the guy, and I think he
yeah,
has a ton
me
of
too.
potential.
Yeah, and him and his Mavericks have made it pretty scary for the Clippers. And even if the Clippers win this series, they're going to have to go off and face either the Nuggets or the Jazz, probably the Jazz, in the next series, which should be a scary test to them, especially with how Donovan Mitchell's been playing. I don't think they want to go up against a team that has a guy as hot as Donovan Mitchell, especially when they're coming off facing a guy as hot as Luka.
Yeah, it'll be a tough series here, and then moving on to a really defensive team like the Jazz is going to be tough, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, we're really excited to see who comes out of these series. The other series in the Western Conference is the Lakers and the Trailblazers. I think it's pretty much wrapped up. I think the Lakers have it. But, Dame has surprised us in the past, so we'll see. It seems like the Lakers will probably go through to play either the Rockets or the Thunder. I am going to go ahead and assume that the Rockets are probably going to win, but I really want to see the Thunder win. I think the Thunder are a great team, and I want to see them play the Lakers more than I want to see the Rockets play the Lakers.
Yeah, I think that the end of the Rockets Thunder series will be really interesting too.
Yes, the games are going to be really, I think, heated at this point. I mean, before it was kind of just the Rockets doing their thing and the Thunder kind of taking it as it is, but the Thunder fought back, and we're going to continue to see them fight back. And I think that the next uh, 2 to possibly 3 games are going to be super interesting.
With that being said, we're going to wrap this episode up. Thank you guys so much for listening.
You can check us out on our website. Look up lazybumspodcast.com. And you can also support us on Patreon and on Anchor and listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, and pretty much anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.